What's up, Taiwan? I'm Louise with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan has thanked the United States after President Joe Biden approved up to $80 million in military funding. The Foreign Military Financing Program helps with grants for foreign governments buying U.S. defense equipment and military training. But the program is usually reserved for sovereign states, and the U.S. does not officially recognize Taiwan as a country. U.S. officials say that approval for the funding does not mean a change in its foreign policy. North Korea says it's fired 2 ballistic missiles to simulate how it would conduct a nuclear strike. This comes as the US and South Korea wrap up military exercises in the region. Jaime Okan has the report.
US and South Korean troops hunting for missiles off the east coast of the Korean peninsula. These soldiers are learning how to work together, scanning the waters for projectiles that have splashed down in the ocean. The drills are part of an annual military exercise called Ulchi Freedom Shield, and this year's edition is one of the largest in history.
이번 연합훈련간 미국 특수작전 부대와 다양한 과제를 수담으로써 연합 특수작전 능력을 한층 강화할 수 있었습니다. 앞으로도 실질적인 연합훈련을 지속해 나감으로써 유사시 어떠한 임무도 완수할 수 있는 완벽한 연합작전 수행태세를 확립하겠습니다.
These exercises come at a time of heightened tensions in the region. Neighboring North Korea has upped tests of its missile program and is pushing to get satellites in orbit. Just hours before the exercises were set to end, North Korea tested 2 ballistic missiles, simulating how it would conduct a nuclear strike. The U.S. says this is just another example of the threat its allies face.
We've been very clear about this, condemned the DPRK's latest ballistic missile launch. This launch is in violation of multiple United Nations Security Council resolutions and possesses a threat to the DPRK's neighbors and international community. We remain committed.
Given the threat from North Korea, countries in the region have begun working more closely together. In mid-August, leaders from the U.S., South Korea, and Japan met at Camp David in the U.S. It was the first summit of its kind for the 3 countries. These exercises are the first since the leaders of those nations pledged to improve security cooperation, with one of their most notable agreements to increase information sharing.
This is really important for ensuring that Japan, South Korea, and the United States are all on a common operating picture. So essentially what that means is that everyone is tracking the same information and looking at the same picture of the regional security environment at the same time.
These 3 countries have also pushed for more combined exercises, with the hope that this will show North Korea the commitment to their defense. But some analysts argue that the increased military presence could be putting more pressure on the region and forcing North Korea to respond with even more provocative actions.
Some of them are for military readiness. Some of them are in response to North Korean actions also. Yes, the U.S. can do it. Yes, there's a military purpose for doing it. But the way that it's being done, the frequency in which it's being done, the way it's being talked about certainly doesn't help bring down the tensions in the region.
With the U.S. and its allies already preparing for more military exercises later this year, this back-and-forth display of force shows few signs of ending anytime soon. Klein Wong and Jaime Okan for TaiwanPlus.
As you just heard, some analysts think an increase in the military presence of the US and its allies could lead to North Korea conducting more weapons tests. For more on this, Jaime Okan spoke further to Jenny Town, an expert on North Korea at the Stimson Center in Washington, D.C.
How do you think North Korea is looking at these joint combined U.S.-South Korea military exercises?
A lot of the exercises are geared towards, what if North Korea attacks South Korea? So the target of those exercises is really North Korea. So, any country that sees that many large-scale live fire exercises going on in its backyard is going to see it as a very provocative, very unsettling move. It is something they've complained about before. And especially when there's exercises included that involve decapitation, practicing targeting the leadership in North Korea.
And how have we seen relations develop or any attempts to resolve tension on the Korean Peninsula in the past couple of years?
Well, it's been a roller coaster, I'll tell you that. Even at the beginning of the Trump administration, right, it started out with sort of a promise for diplomacy. It quickly moved into fire and fury and all these bombastic responses from the United States. That certainly, if it didn't convince the North Koreans that a kinetic response was possible, it certainly convinced South Korea. And it made South Korea incredibly nervous. So we don't really have a strategy for how to rebuild diplomacy with the North Koreans. And instead, we're really focusing on how to keep the South Koreans happy in the meantime. And really catering to the alliance, catering to South Korea's anxieties with greater, with the changing geopolitical situation with U.S.-China relations, with a stronger North Korea.
With expected increased military activity on the peninsula and the aftermath of the summit from Camp David, where the United States, Japan, and South Korea are pledging for more cooperation, is there anything else that we could see or anything that we should be looking out for in the future?
The language that the North Koreans used to complain about it was basically mirroring what the Chinese were saying, right? And really talked about how this was a collective threat, to China, North Korea, and Russia. We need to get away from, looking at every single missile test and really obsessing over the technology of it, and really start looking at the broader geopolitical dynamics and how, what are the trends in the region? How is it changing? Where are we going with this?
That was North Korea expert Jenny Town of the Stimson Center, speaking to reporter Jaime Ocon. The US has blocked certain types of AI chips from reaching the Middle East. Out of concern, they could be resold to China. The controls target the most prized chips of American tech giant Nvidia. These chips are key to training AI platforms and are at the heart of a global race for AI leadership. China and Russia already have their access to these chips restricted as part of Washington's crackdown on what it calls countries of concern. Nvidia and other tech firms like Intel have been adapting their businesses to create less powerful chips, which could be sold to restricted markets. Britain's top diplomat has raised issues including Hong Kong and Taiwan during a meeting with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi. James Cleverly met with his Chinese counterpart in Beijing, the first visit to China by a senior British minister in 5 years. It's seen as an attempt to repair relations between the two countries after several years of worsening ties. That's been driven by Beijing's crackdown in the former British colony of Hong Kong. Cleverly told Wang it's important to maintain high-level communication, and he hinted at a meeting between British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and Chinese leader Xi Jinping in the coming months. Taipei Mayor Jiang Wan-an has said that navigating cross-strait relations is not impossible, but that it will require effort from both sides. Jiang made the comments at the annual Twin City Forum in Shanghai, where he met with the city's mayor, Gong Zheng. The two signed a memorandum of understanding to promote exchanges in technology, culture, and sports. Gong says he's been working to attract tech companies to set up shop in Shanghai, and praised Taipei's advanced high-tech sectors.
历史不能选择，现在可以把握，未来可以开创。
Typhoon Salao has passed by Taiwan and is on course to hit China. Sally Jensen is in Taidong County in Taiwan's southeast to see the impact it's had.
Typhoon Salao has passed by Taiwan south on a course to hit China's east coast on Friday. Its wind speeds have it categorized as a super typhoon by the US's Joint Typhoon Warning Center. But its immediate effect on Taiwan has been so far fairly minimal. Now that may be because its reach is somewhat smaller than the last two recent typhoons. It's relatively compact with a powerful center added to the speed with which it passed by the island nation. Saola's caused some extremely hot temperatures in northern Taiwan, and a few days of unpredictable torrential rainfall across the country could follow. But the land warning in place since Tuesday has since been lifted. Now, 2 more tropical storms have formed in the northwestern Pacific, and we will be keeping you updated on developments. John Su and Sally Jensen in Taidong County for TaiwanPlus.
At least 3 people have been killed as Hurricane Idalia tears through the southeastern United States. The powerful Category 3 storm made landfall on the Gulf Coast of Florida on Wednesday. It plowed through the state while moving towards Georgia. Heavy rains and strong winds have caused extreme flooding. Rising sea levels attributed to climate change have made flooding a growing problem for people in Florida. Much of the state's population lives in cities along the coast. Experts say natural disasters like E Dahlia will increase in intensity as the climate crisis goes on. Back to Taiwan now. Fishing is a major industry here, and new tech developments are making life easier for the country's fleets. Eric Gao explains.
An eye in the sky on the lookout for fish. This drone system is a world first. It uses AI tech to scan the seas looking for schools of fish. When it spots them, it directs fishing boats to that area. The drones can be sent up in teams of up to 4 with a 60-kilometer range. This system was developed by the Economy Ministry and Taiwan's leading Industrial Development Research Institute. They expect it to be a game changer for the country's fisheries industry.
它可以用 AIoT 的这样的一个技术去判读说哪里有鱼群，然后赶快通知船长就近可以去做一个捕捞的动作啊。那运用这样的一个技术的话，它的这个鱼群判断的准确性高达80%。
Taiwan has the world's second largest distant water fishing fleet. It already uses helicopters to look for fish, but the work is dangerous and requires an experienced eye. This new automated system takes both the guesswork and the danger out of the process.
只要有无人机的帮忙，这个第一个就是节省人员，还有节省这些人力，再也会替这个母船带来一些抓鱼的资讯。
Officials have high hopes that tech breakthroughs like these will help the local fishing industry and spur the country's overall economic development. Joseph Wu and Eric Gao for TaiwanPlus.
A hospital in central Taiwan is using AI to diagnose sleep apnea. Doctors there say the new testing system is more advanced and convenient than traditional equipment. John Van Trieste reports.
Loud snoring, disrupted sleep, and drowsiness during the day. These are just some of the symptoms of sleep apnea, a condition it's thought affects around 900,000 people across the country. Until now, testing meant sleeping overnight in a hospital while being hooked up to various uncomfortable devices.
很多线的束缚之下，我自己做过，那通常连翻身都会有点局限。
But doctors at China Medical University Hospital in Taichung have invented a new wireless method that can even be used at home. A device stuck to the patient's chest records their heartbeat, a good clue for whether they have sleep apnea. It then sends the data to an AI program that interprets the rhythm.
就能够侦测身体里面非常多的数据。
Staff at the hospital are excited about the possibilities of this new method.
可以做到一个精准的变化，那可以到90%几的一个准确度。
Once its trial stage ends, this technique won't be covered by Taiwan's national health insurance system. But those willing to pay out of pocket at least have a new option for getting diagnosed, which could be the first step to a better night's sleep. Chris Ma and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
A rare Formosan black bear that was found caught in a trap has died. The adult bear was found by 2 teenage hikers in eastern Taiwan. A medical team was forced to amputate its paw to rescue it. But while it was being treated, the bear went into shock and died from infection. Animal protection officials have been working to protect Formosan black bears, an endangered species. They say they will give the teenagers who spotted the bear a cash reward. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally today, we leave you with images of the world's biggest fjord on the eastern coast of Greenland. I'm Louise Watt. Take care, and I'll see you next time.